This is the meeting opening.
Do you see that I'm on, Huntley?
Erica?
Yes.
Mark?
can
No,
see
it's
you,
Judy.
Yes. Judy,
It's
no, I
Judy.
cannot see
I
Judy.
can hear you.
I can hear you, but I cannot
Okay.
see you.
I have changed the Zoom thing all around on my computer, and I am not quite sure what I'm doing.
I see an
Um,
M at the bottom. of
Judy,
the
just
page.
look for something that says start video.
Yeah, I know. That's what I know what to look for, and I'm
Okay.
not seeing it.
Okay,
That's my problem.
that's
I-
okay. We can hear you.
I was doing it before on the, I got it now. There we go.
Great.
Okay.
There's Judy. Okay.
Hey, Judy.
Okay, now I can't see you guys though. Let's see.
That might be a.
I see you, Joe.
Oh, well, okay, then you have
It
it
might
not
be
the
who talked, you
gallery.
can see.
Yeah,
Joe, where's
whoever
your new
talks.
home?
I'm sorry?
Can we officially open the meeting first, and then we can have a little conversation?
Okay.
Okay. So this is I'd like to open the meeting of the Affordable Trust of Wenham on June 8th at 6 p.m. Let's do a roll call of the people that are present. Huntley Skinner, present.
Judy Babrisky, present.
Erica Champa present.
Win.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And Joe, we know that you're here as a guest.
Yep.
All right. And Andrew, we welcome you and
Hi.
to the trust, and we're grateful to have you with us tonight.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Am I right that no one is in person? We're all on Zoom?
We're all on Zoom.
We're all Zooming.
Yep.
Such is the
So,
world.
yes. So I'd like you to, if you could give us an update on Maplewood so we can hear what's going on.
Yeah, so I think everybody knows, but congratulations to you all. The state funded Maplewoods in what is known as the mini round. So that was the most recent round of funding. So that is massive. That's where most of the money comes from. And that is a huge deal. That's usually sort of the last point before you go. From here, we got two things going on right now. The first one is, as with pretty much every project around the state, everybody's budget is blown up because of supply chain costs and construction escalation and the interest rate turbulence. So we're patching up all of our projects at this point to make the budgets work. So two things are happening in Maple Woods. One is we're involved vigorously in patching up that budget. It's not quite $3 million gap now because of those things. So we're at better than some and worse than others. But we're adjusting some of the scope, which is good. Meaning that you do a little nipping and tucking on the construction scope to try to save a little money. The state, thankfully, is pretty flush with capital for housing projects, though that'll go quickly. It feels flush, but it won't be long. So we will ask them. We're in the process of asking them for additional capital. We've been involved with two other projects recently where that's happened. One, the state in Rockport, our project in Rockport, which will close this month. The state put in new money. The other one is the Briscoe School in Beverly. People may have seen the article about that.
Mhm.
And the state has a very large amount of money on the table for that one. But they want the city also to put in a little more money in order to leverage that. So we expect in this case pretty much the same formula. We'll have to adjust the scope. We'll negotiate some of our debt and equity to try to make sure we squeeze as much out of that as possible. We'll go back to the state for the lion's share of the gap. I expect they'll do about half of it or more. So we asked them, for example, at the Briscoe School for about $3 million, which seems like what they're going to do. That's a 91 unit deal. So you're at 45, so about half of that. So we expect to ask them for about half. And they will of course ask us to ask you. So we'll probably come back to the Housing Trust. We really don't want to go, we don't want to have to wait for timeline to go back sort of the CPC or town meeting. So we probably would just come back to the trust And then, of course, that goes to the selectmen. And then that should do the job between the state, us, the construction change, the equity change, and the trust. It's sort of a multi-layered tower. Once we have cured all that, which hopefully will be in the next, say, 6 weeks, the state will assign their closing attorney, and that process then will take most of the rest of the year. So if this goes all according to plan, they will allow us to close the state financing late in the year. I would think Thanksgiving-ish is probably reasonable, which means that construction will start. If we're really, really lucky and we beat the weather, we'll start some site work before winter conditions set in. But if we're not, then it'll start once the ground thaws in the spring. So that's sort of where we are. It's mostly very good news. Nothing unexpected or uncommon. A little frustrating to have to scrub it up. But like I said, that's all of the projects. State's got about 15 projects in its pipeline right now. This is one of them, and they're all sort of dealing with the same issues. So we're in good company. But
Andrew, can I ask a question about coming
Sure.
back to us? One is approximate size, and is it something that could be honed into a certain element of the program?
Yeah, it's a great question, Joe, and I think that's probably the right way to go. So when I asked my crew to give me before I knew I was going to talk to you, I think we're probably going to ask you for about 250. We wanted to make it big enough for the state to pay attention, but small enough to not be a big deal, even though 250 is still a lot of money. But we're going to ask them for $1.5 million, and so that's sort of the ratio leverage. And I think what I'd like to do, if you all think it makes sense, is we have about $500,000 in energy efficiency and sustainability measures. This is going to be the most energy efficient building we've ever done. We're probably LEED silver as a minimum, maybe LEED gold, which is pretty exciting. And so there's about $550,000 worth of sustainability measures in this deal, which includes solar, enhancements to the mechanical system for air exchange, drought resistant plants, some of the LEED process, and some of the highly water efficient equipment, meaning the faucets and toilets and such. The solar by itself is about 210. And so I think we'd like to say, hey, here's the overall gap. Here's how we're gonna fix it. There's 550 worth of sustainability. And if we can ask the trust for 250 against the sustainability budget of that 550, it would essentially be solar plus a couple extras. That would seem to be the cleanest and probably the most compelling, I would think, locally in terms of sustainability. Water conservation and energy efficiency should be pretty catchy, I would think. So that was my thought, but you all will know better than me.
Can I
Is that
ask a
something-
question too? I'm sorry, Joe, are you not through? I thought you were through.
Nope, perfect.
Okay. Andrew, are there no federal funds at all for any of this kind of stuff? It's all pandemic related.
Yeah, so yeah, you're totally right, Judy. So that $1.5 million that we're talking about is very likely federal, but the state controls it.
Oh, okay.
So, right. So there's no, I misspeak when I say this. The state doesn't source the money, but they manage it.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we're expecting. I'll tell you, that's an interesting moment because, the state has to commit that money by 24 and spend it by 26. And it's been not very fast. Not on the department side. The departments are generally pretty quick, but a little bit of this debate between the legislature and the governor, on timing. So that money's got to get out the door if we're going to use it as a state. And it's, if we don't commit it very, pretty soon, it's going to be hard to get that all deployed by 26. But that's a sidebar. So short answer is yes, we expect, 60% of this gap is going to be federal in its origin.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you bet.
And the one follow-up would be for the solar stuff. Is this, have you guys been able to quantify from a low income or from how much of that benefit will accrue to the residents?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, Joe. So we, in this building, particularly because it's senior, The project, meaning the ownership LLC, which is a subsidiary of us, is it pays all of the utilities, so that the operating efficiency of the whole building essentially accrues to the residents in that sense, right? You're able to run the building better, have more services, have better quality if your operating costs are more under control. So that's how that works. But we don't do that everywhere. But in an elderly building, we like to have sort of a universal management of the utilities as a way to try to improve the efficiency and the quality. Does that answer your question?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So does that, Andrew, just for me, who's not great with the numbers, does that
Yep.
mean that when a utility bill comes through for electricity, the LLC divides it among the residents or they pay for it? Does the LLC
No.
pay for it?
The LLC pays for it. So the
Okay.
residents pay their rent, right? So we try to suppress the rent level even below what's required.
Okay,
And so I think the argument is that any better you're doing on utilities helps that model function. But the residents don't actually pay an electricity bill,
okay,
right?
okay,
It goes, the LLC pays the utility and they pay a rent level.
okay.
Yeah.
I've got it. Yep.
So there's not a division later, right? It's sort of baked into the overall cost.
Got it.
Andrew.
There are- Oh, hey, Wayne, go ahead.
When you first started, you were talking about how the balance of deficit would be carved up.
Yep.
And you talked about a sustainability piece of, I think you
Yep.
said something in 500,000. How
Yep.
does that, how does that translate into dollars, which you can subtract against the amount due? I'm not sure how the two concepts, let's say.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So we're about 2.8 shy. Inside of that 2.8 is about 550 of energy efficiency and sustainability costs. As a part of the process, what we end up doing is what they call value engineering. So this is where you say, all right, we're going to take this element and we're going to change it, and that'll make it 10% cheaper. Like you could go from, I'm trying to think, excuse me. You could go from a hardwood floor to a vinyl plank or something like that, right? Which would save you some money. So you're going through the process trying to do that. For my part, you want to defend the elements in the construction scope that are really important. You don't want to cut those or adjust them. So in our view, the energy efficiency and the sustainability are really important. So we want to keep those. So I think what we're suggesting is, it's sort of three dimensions. Of the 2.8 that we're short, 550 of that is energy efficiency. And so we're going to ask the trust for 250 of that, right? Which would be 250 of the 550, which sits inside the 2.8. We could even sketch this if you want and show it to you on a spreadsheet. And then we're going to ask the state, for their big chunk. And then we're probably going to have to throw in some other nickels and dimes, right? We're going to have to change the scope a little bit. We're going to have to squeeze the equity investor. We'll probably have to leave some other money in the deal. And that'll get us, by the time you sort of pinch and pull, you close the gap. That's what we just did in Rockport, same exact thing. So that's how they interact. The 550 is a subset of the 2.8, and roughly a little less than half of that is what we would suggest. We'd ask the trust for, so that we can target it, which was Joe's original question, as opposed to it being amorphous, sort of for anything. It's specifically for that. Because of course we could just not do solar, right? Like that's an alternative. But we know that the state is going to be looking for the town. Like if we go to the state and say, give us another $1.5 million, they're going to say, all right, we can do that, but we want the town to be in. This is the debate we're in Beverly at the moment. And that's what's happening in Rockport. We asked Rockport for, I think, another 180, and the state put in, I don't have the number before me, but they put in another big chunk of change. That project is, about half the size of yours. Does that
Andrew,
help?
now that the timeline seems to be getting a little longer, will we still have the credit for our housing with the state?
Oh yeah, we pulled the permit, the
Okay.
foundation permit, at the request of the selectmen and the
Right.
that I'm trying to remember when now. I think that was in December. So yeah, you should be amply covered. In addition, the state knows that they just funded this, right? So it would be unthinkable, right, that anything else would give you a problem.
Okay, thank you.
And Andrew, could you, to follow up on numbers, it might be helpful if you could put that whole thing into a spreadsheet. So we,
Sure will.
starting with the 2.8 deficit and
Yep.
working it down. So I think
Yeah, we could do that. It's a great idea. We'll even give you the original versus the update so you know where the variation is. And then we'll show you our proposed, this is how we're going to skin it, right? We're going to pinch and pull here, 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 and here. And that way you'll know.
Yeah, I suspect that is a thing that will be question. I mean, the public is going to be interested in that sort of numbers.
Of course.
You know, what is the over, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yep,
if we
as
could
they-
start with
as they should be.
something, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and it's very similar to the other logic, right? This is all leverage for the bigger capital. That's its whole purpose, right?
But we're really talking about, to get to the timeline again, around Thanksgiving time, something like that.
Right. But the big kicker for triggers is the faster we patch the budget, the faster the state will move. And they take, they're going to take 4 to 6 months to close this thing once they assign an attorney. So we want them to assign an attorney as soon as they can. And to do that, we have to say, all right, here, we figured it out. Here's how we're cracking the nut. We're going to do this at the town and this at the equity and this on the scope. And this is what you need to do. And, if they're happy with that, which is what just happened in Rockport, then they'll advance it and we'll close. We'll close Rockport in June. And they were just a little ahead of you. They got funded in the round ahead of you. So that gives you a sense.
Right.
So Andrew, the quicker we can move through on this 250,
Yep.
the more it helps you move the process along.
You got it. Yeah. Let's say if we took, say, 3 months to do this, I think we probably, we won't make November, only because they won't start to move until we nail it down. So, which is not to say we need to rush. It's just to give you a sense that the ending timeline is not fixed. It floats, right?
Got it.
Like when we're done, then they'll go. And some of this is we're competing with everybody else, right? Like all of the other projects are doing just what we're doing, right? They're all trying to figure out how to get out of this barrel. And when you can get out, then you go forward, and that's all of the lawyers and everybody pays attention to those projects. The other ones are still in the barrel trying to claw themselves out. So the faster you can get out and get ahead, the better it is.
Judy, sorry, Huntley, if I could just ask, Andrew, will you send us a formal letter request with all that information?
Sure will. If you want, we can send that budget information even with the request at the same time. I think we wanted
Yep.
to respect the committee and make sure we had talked to you first, but we could do that next week if you'd like.
That'd be good.
Yeah, because then we'll have to schedule a meeting for this board. And then they'll have to make their recommendation to the select board. And
Yep.
there's, weeks between things. So I just want you to be aware of the way we move a little slower sometimes.
Yeah, you guys are doing great. You should see we're trying to do this in Beverly, and it's definitely a lot of touch and go trying to sort it out. So
All right, good.
Well, thank you, Andrew, because you've given us a sense of the direction and our task at hand. So
yeah,
That's
the
great.
great news is this is really, you're on the downswing now. This is, it's going to be very exciting very soon. And it's going to be quite something. So we're really looking forward to it and excited to be working with you all to see it come to fruition.
thanks, Andrew.
There
Any
are
other-
a lot of, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if there's any other questions, any other comments that people would like to make while we have Andrew here.
I don't think so. I think he covered it all very well.
Thank you. We'll get you that paperwork, and any questions that come out of that, feel free, and it's all very open. So feel free to whatever you want to know.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
thank
bet.
you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
Andrew.
Thank
That's
you.
what
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, that's a task we have to.
Yeah. We
got
haven't talked
something to
about
do
how much
here.
money we have in our bank accounts for
That
a
was
long
my-
time. This would be a good time, probably.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I said, let's
Yeah.
take a look at the bottom line. What do we have available?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the funds are available. I didn't even think to do it, but we can do that. We can get an update where your funds are before.
I
we
can, yeah, I'll get you a screen share in just a few minutes that will get us approximately there. It won't be up.
Okay, you have something, Joe? Great.
Yep. But go ahead now, if it's okay.
All
I'll
right.
interrupt.
So the next on the agenda, we're going to determine the representative to the Master Plan Advisory Committee. That's coming up rather quickly, I believe.
So Huntley, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
planning board is meeting tomorrow night and they're going to make their recommendations to the select board. It was determined that the select board has to appoint this committee. So the planning board has determined that they would like to have representatives from the Affordable Housing Trust, Concom, COA, Finance and Advisory, Open Space, the Water Department, Select Board, and the School Committee. And then they're looking for 4 at-large people. So I just wanted to see if your committee could recommend one of your members to sit on the Master Plan Committee. The Master Plan Advisory Committee will most likely meet once a month, starting in June. We're going to have our kickoff this month, hopefully. And they'll meet most likely once a month with a few different events and things tucked in here and there. It should be an 18 to 20 month process. We do have the firm of J.M. Goldson. We've contracted with them to do the project. And so that's all really we need to do tonight is decide which one of you wants to be on that master plan committee. And again, everybody is welcome to all of the master plan meetings. We're hoping that a lot of people just show up at those meetings too. So.
Did we, perhaps this was the meeting that we had, but we couldn't really take a vote, but I had kind of thought we'd already considered Wynn for this.
Right.
We just need to make it official.
Oh, okay, all right.
Make sure Wynn
you
still
still
wants to
willing,
do
Wynn?
it.
I am not a candidate.
Oh,
Okay,
Are or not?
I am not.
You don't want to be on it, Wynn?
I don't think I can, Margaret. at this
Okay.
point. But not because of the timeline here of 24 months and the commitment. I mean, I just had a birthday, so I get nervous about it. You know. I intend to attend some of the meetings, however,
Okay.
but I don't think I'm eligible. I don't think I can be an official member.
Okay.
okay.
I mean, I can touch back on our earlier conversation, Margaret. I'm just not sure that the knowledge is, I have enough of the knowledge to be the best candidate. I'm not unwilling, I just am not sure. I don't know
No.
exactly what kind of information they're gonna be looking for, and I don't know if I
Yeah.
know it or not.
And honestly, Erica, they're not going to look for information from you, from
Okay,
really. The firm is going to do a lot of data analysis. They're going to
Mhm.
there and get all of the data about what's actually happening in the community. And then we're going to put it forward to surveys and events where the public has to give input. And that's
Okay.
what they'll be asking you for is input. Most
Okay.
of the advisory committee will be, you'll determine the dates for the meetings. You'll work on the events that are going to take place and give your input into what you think is going to work best for the community. There's no, I'm sure that you would be just.
I just don't wanna set myself up for failure and sit there and be an idiot and go, I
No.
don't know.
No, that wouldn't be the case at all. And that's not why we're asking for people from certain committees to be on the committee. We would just want to make sure that the committees that are represented and that the committees are represented and that there's a
Mhm.
liaison to come back to the Affordable Housing Trust and say, here's what we're doing at the master plan meeting.
Okay,
To kind of talk it up, to get, just get people involved, sort of. It's not a huge lift in terms of
okay,
having to know a lot about a master plan.
okay. I mean, I'm certainly willing to give it a shot. I can't guarantee anything, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That'd be great.
Unless somebody
Erica.
else wanted to take it.
I appreciate your willingness.
Yeah, I think you'll do a great job.
I do too.
I'm not
I really
taking over
think this is
Joe's
gonna be a
job, though.
great, I think it'll be a great experience, Erica. Really, I think you'll be really surprised at how exciting and informative it is for you.
All right, well, there's always a chance that the select board might say, "Mm, no, we don't want her."
They still could, but I doubt that. You never know.
No,
All right,
I don't think so.
Okay.
you'll see what happens.
So I would say it wouldn't hurt just to take a vote, just to make a motion to
Yeah.
recommend Erica to the
Okay, then I'll nominate
Plan Advisory
Erica
Committee.
to be our representative to the master plan
Who's gonna second?
committee.
Would like to second that? I'll second it.
Okay.
Let's take a vote. All in favor?
So that be a roll call?
Roll call.
Judy, yes.
Win. Wynn's a yes.
Yes.
Huntley's a yes. And
I
Joe
have to
can't-
be a yes for myself, right?
Great. All right, that's terrific. Thank you.
That's great, Erica.
So
Thanks.
Erica, maybe tomorrow night, the planning board is going to meet. It's a Zoom meeting. So if you want to sit in on it, just to hear what they have to
Okay.
say, and I'll let them know that you've been,
What time is that?
it's at 7 tomorrow night.
Oh, okay,
The master plan meetings, though, we don't know when they're going to meet.
right,
I have a feeling they'll be meeting earlier than 7 o'clock. So,
okay.
great.
Thanks, Margaret.
Okay.
All right. Discussion of our action plan items and next steps. Has everyone had a chance to look at the action plan? So we know what what's in it and what the next steps might be.
I
Mhm.
I
Go
was
ahead.
on the committee when we did the action plan, so one of the things that was quite resounding from the community is that they wanted multiple affordable units scattered around town as opposed to a big project. Well, we have the big project anyway, but I would think now that we have the big project, that maybe some multiple units scattered around town that would maybe be family centered as opposed to over 55 centered might work as something we should work on.
I'd just like to point out to the committee that since your action plan was done, there have been a few units created. There's the two
Yes, they have,
Pines.
from developers, yeah.
Yep, developers have created the 2 at Wenham Pines. We've got 2 Habitat for Humanity houses that are complete. And we also got another unit on Dodges Row. We still haven't heard anything from Habitat on that other unit, but yeah, so I think and the town itself has kind of made some of that infill housing happen so far, but I think it's a good goal to discuss that anyway.
Well, we also don't quite know what's going to be happening with this ruling about being by the train station and all of that. That we have no clarification on that, do we?
Exactly. I did attend the Mass Housing Partnership Housing Institute this week. So it was really good sessions. And Mike Keneally was there, and he made a comment that I was like, oh, he said, the state is serious about this. This is a mandate. And I was like, even though the guidelines are not complete, they've gotten their comments. Their guidelines should be done by sometime this summer. That's what we heard from the DHCD representative who was there. So they're expecting that these guidelines will come out this summer. Once that happens, yes, I think we're going to have to start to really work on it. But again, this is going to be discussed in the master plan. This is a big part of the master plan for this community. As far as development goes, housing, every community along the MBTA is looking at this. So it's not critical to do anything like right now, but as part of the master plan, you'll definitely be talking about how we want to deal with that, those housing units that are going to be created.
One of the
I
other
guess-
things, go ahead, Judy.
I guess I would, before we decide what we think we should do, I'd kind of like to know how much money we have.
I got that.
Because, got that? Okay.
Yep. Just in time.
Mm.
So let me see. Can I share?
Yeah, let me do a stop share.
Okay.
Hold on. Someone's hitting me here.
Okay, let's see if anybody can see this. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Can you
Oh,
guys see
yeah, I
that?
can see it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Perfect. So this is still approximate. It includes, we have in the trust balance approximately 680,000. That includes the CPA funds from last year, the 150. And I don't know if we're going back to ask for more this year. We have about, we have $30,000 in the Friend Court bank account, but there's some bills that have to be paid to Harbor Light. So that's about 28, conservatively 28,000 of free money. I'm sorry, free and clear. And then what I do here is I just put the mortgages that we currently have, just so that we can keep track of what we have. We have the Friend Court mortgage. Again, this is just borrowed against ourselves. Hall Street for the Habitat, and then 2B Stockwell. So the total assets of the trust is around 1.3. And then we have the 250,000 that for the original commitment to Maple Woods, not what he's coming back and asking for just tonight.
Okay.
So we have unencumbered $430,000+ of trust funds.
So we have to kind of in the back of our minds assume that 250,000 of that will be
Is
going to
gonna go
Maple
away.
Woods.
Right.
Not of the
additional.
original. So this is unencumbered, so not committed funds, which.
Right. No,
Right.
no, what I
So-
said,
Oh,
we have
right,
to
yes.
assume that 250,000 that Andrew just spoke
An
of
additional.
will be
Right.
coming from the 431,294. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it seems that it would make sense that if we can give them those additional funds, we would, so we can move the project along.
Yeah, I think that would be,
Well, and also just from a publicity standpoint, given how much energy is costing right now and everything, to be able to be committing to lowering the costs of
Right.
energy just seems like it would be a nice.
yeah.
Let's just tell everybody it's no gas bill and they'll all be happy to have spent it.
So, right, Judy, yeah, if that
Okay.
ask is something you guys do, then you're gonna have 180 plus whatever we want to probably maybe go back to the CPA for.
Okay, all right, yeah, I guess that's what we've got to decide is whether or not we want to go to the CPA for some of this.
I would
Might
say,
as well.
Joe.
Yeah.
As I recall the conversation before, when we were talking about how much we were going to ask CPC for this year, the conversation was about giving us enough flexibility, even though we didn't know where we were going specifically. We wanted to have flexibility for whatever thoughts we might have, projects and so forth in the future. I would think that's probably still valid, that concept. And so therefore, we really would need the 250 back, if you will. But I think the bigger picture here is that everybody knows about inflation and cost overrides and all of that sort of thing. And I think it would behoove us to run this up the flagpole town-wide and talk to the selectmen and the CPC people about getting the allocation from the CPC for at least a good portion of that 250. I think would be, I mean, it's not a surprise to anybody what's happening. And I think the support from Maple Woods is firm. And I think that it's not that we did anything wrong. I think it's just the way things are, inflation and so forth. So I certainly would recommend, this may not be the time to vote on it, but I would recommend we seek a good portion of that 250 from CPC as whatever the timing would be on that allocation.
Margaret, on that allocation, I thought we had to apply for that early in the year for the,
Yeah,
so have we already done for 2022?
yep,
Mhm.
Yeah.
we did.
That would be a
So the
2023.
CPA funds are, the CPC applications are due like December.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Yep, and then they vote on those at town meeting.
Right.
Hey,
So we
um,
won't have access to those, we won't have access to that ask until
Yep.
after.
Well,
I mean, we
it's
can
great.
still commit to giving it to them if we decide that's what we want to do, and then just ask to replenish it
Yep.
for next year.
Yeah, sure. You sure
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's probably a good, if we've spent it on a good project, then they're probably, and I'm assuming, but
I would
probably
think
more
so.
likely to grant us the replenishment, seeing it went to a good use.
Yeah, which brings me to one of the goals that I think we could do, even, since inventory has blossomed since the action plan, there is a section of the priorities to be more present and more open to the community about what we're doing, and to have some opportunities to, I look at one of the goals was to provide information to the community. And I think with all that's going on, it would be, and especially with a master plan, that one of the goals would be, should we have some like open meetings to say, this is what the Affordable Housing Trust is doing. These are the things that we're wrestling with. And this is where Maplewood is. And we just want you as community members, in our town to know how we're moving and what's going on here. I think that would be really helpful. That is one of the goals that the
Right.
action plan spoke of, is just being transparent to the community and having a community meeting with an agenda that they can come and learn about affordable housing and what we're doing in the town. That would help, I think.
Absolutely.
I think that would help. And I think we could all work together on that plan. I don't think it has to be a subcommittee. I think we could all say, hey, let's figure out a date and what was to be on the agenda, and get a PowerPoint going and get it on the website in the town. And let's invite the community to come and learn about what we're doing. And what our goals are, and what the projects are that are underway. Because I think we've become really quiet, and I don't think people really know, like, what's the Affordable Housing Trust doing?
Yeah,
Who
they
are
thought
we?
it ended probably with Maplewoods. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's time to just say, hey, this is what's going on. And the other piece of it was talking about rental properties and
Mhm.
diversity,
Right.
and making sure seniors could stay in their home. And there's been an influx of new people into the community that may not have been around during the action plan. And it might be good to just put us back on the map, especially with the master plan happening.
Well,
Great.
yeah, and to your point, the master plan was for up through 2023.
That's correct.
So
correct.
it's a perfect time to start the process, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, to kind of like refresh for everybody where we are, and get their input, to have community input, especially, that we have Erica working with the master plan and reporting back to us.
That's not official yet.
We want to, well, we're just being really positive about that, Erica.
Thank you.
But I think it's just really important that we then present who we are in the community, so that people are informed.
I think that's a great idea. And the trust is going to need a new member, at least one new member
Mm.
when Joe's gone. So I think getting your name out, the committee name out there, and say, here's what we do, and come join us, come to meetings, and maybe have some little event or something, I think is a great.
Yeah. And I've got a neighbor in mind that I'm gonna go and have a little chat with. And she's a younger person, and she has 3 kids in the school system, and she's a property owner, and
Great.
yeah, she's active. And so I'm going to solicit her. She may not say yes.
Huntley, if you could do that sooner than later, the
Yes,
board is taking those letters of interest for the Affordable Housing Trust for every committee that needs people. They're going to vote on those on the 21st of June.
that's fine, because I'm gonna be out of town starting the 17th, so that gets me moving.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
get moving on that.
Yeah,
And we are trying to
I
get-
will ask her in the next day or two. And then I know she has to, write a little letter and
Yeah.
send some information. Yeah. And she sends that to,
To Michelle
Select-
McGovern at the select, to the select board through Michelle McGovern or the new town administrator, Steve Poulos.
okay. So I've got her in mind to ask. She's active in the community, and I think she would be, she might be, interested.
Great.
So I'm gonna ask.
I
her.
also have someone that could potentially be interested if need be.
Good.
It's actually the fire chief's wife.
Oh, yeah.
So Natalie Kavanaugh
Natalie, yeah.
potentially, but I don't, obviously if your neighbor is interested, that's great too.
No, but I think we need more, don't we?
Oh,
Well,
do
we
we?
will be getting a selectman's representative that,
We will be, yeah.
yeah.
Do we
I
have
mean-
one spot or two to fill?
We have just one.
Just
Just
one,
one.
okay.
And the selectman's representative, and that
Right.
makes the second one,
That
right?
makes it 7, yep.
Yeah.
Because John, assuming John's still on. I haven't heard that he's leaving, so.
Right.
Which,
He doesn't even expire till
Joe
next
just
year, I don't think.
disappeared. I think we could go back around to Judy's question about Joe. Where are you? Where you've moved? Where have you moved to?
It's a secret. He could tell you, but then he'd have to kill you.
Well, he's gone to Manchester, he's moved to Manchester.
Man,
Oh, see,
Joe-
Lynn just squealed.
I see his name, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Have you left, Joe?
I have to switch over to my phone to get
Oh,
into the
okay.
car, but yes, I am moving to Manchester.
Why is it that all of our chairman of this committee moves to
Moved to
Manchester?
Manchester. I was going to ask the same question, Judy.
This is the second one in a row.
Well, it's funny because Josh was the second of a group of people to move. I'm the third, and then we're the third. We've all moved into the same area and all into 3-story walk-ups.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my
So-
goodness.
Really? Oh, okay.
Joe, that's not
Yeah.
good senior planning.
It is not good senior family, but I've been told that if you start early with walking upstairs, it will keep you more
keep going.
agile going forward.
There you go.
That's the
There
hope
is-
anyway.
Yeah, okay. Well, we wish
No,
you
it's-
really
it's-
well in that. When have you
Well,
moved
thank
or
you.
are you moving?
We have moved already.
You have already moved. Okay.
And you've sold your
Yes,
house?
We sold our house. We're closing on Friday morning.
Wow.
So this is all, as I was saying, I think Huntley, before you joined, this all happened quite quickly. We were committed to stay in we committed to ourselves that we were just going to stay in the house and have our grandkids get there and everything. And then the next morning, this opportunity came up and Meg took it.
Wow. And I hope she
So,
consulted you
and then-
before she jumped on.
I was walking out of the room to take our dog out for a walk, and I heard, "We'll take it."
Oh, gosh. Surprise, happy
That was
birthday.
when I found out.
Oh my goodness.
It was my birthday present, I guess.
Oh,
So,
wow.
no, it's a neat, it's nice to live in the village.
Yeah.
That's great.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. I'm so
Nice
And
to have the
Diane has
ocean right
already
there.
asked when I'm going to join the
Yeah.
Massachusetts or the Manchester
Trust.
committee.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is
wow.
Josh on the Manchester committee?
No, not yet.
No. Oh, okay.
It's also on.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we wish
Well,
you
good
well.
luck to you.
No, and
Yeah.
I apologize for making this such an abrupt change. It was not a plan that I thought would come about, but from the time that we said yes to renting that place to the time that we had a purchase and sale, it was 2.5 weeks.
Wow. Wow.
So it went fast.
Well, I know these days things go so fast that you have to be definitive about things. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well,
it's
But I
exciting
think
for you.
one of the things, oh, thank you. I think, so, I mean, I'm committed to helping you all with any transition, knowing that I can't officially do it. But I think outside of the chairmanship, which is honestly, outside of the chairmanship is just the LLC manager.
Mhm.
And I'm writing up procedures on what that is. Not a lot of work because Andrew and Harbor Light do most of it. And then we have an outside CPA that collects the checks and balances the books. So the day-to-day involvement as a manager of the LLC is quite small. But I'll write up all the procedures just so that, the calendar of when to re-up the annual fees for the state for the LLC fees and how we pay bills and everything. I'll get that all done.
Okay.
and shipped off to Margaret. But
Yep.
I think there's also the need to have new signers on the checking accounts. Because at the moment, I think it's Catherine Harrison and myself.
Okay.
Oh,
We
okay.
need to,
Gosh.
All right. We'll take care of that,
we have
Joe.
to.
Mm.
Yep. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
if you
I'll
just
get everything.
send me
I'll
all the
get-
contacts you have too, Joe, please.
Yep,
any-
Will do.
Contacts you have for that.
So
for
I'll
the
write that
LLC.
all up so that there's,
Did, just
that
a
was one of the
question,
objectives of. Oh, yeah.
just a question, did we determine, does the manager of the LLC have to be the chair of the committee? Or did we determine that that wasn't necessarily the case?
Nope, it was always that way just out of simplicity.
Okay,
But it
But,
doesn't have to be, yeah. Mhm.
Does not have to be.
we could potentially split you in half then, with 2 new people instead of 1
Yep,
new person.
And right, and one of the thoughts right before Josh left was you have a chair and a vice chair, and maybe the vice chair is the LLC manager. Or, I mean, just again, it wasn't
Mhm.
really need to make it complex. So I guess that was, Josh always looked at it as it was a weekly stroll down to the town hall to collect the statements or whatever mail that was in there, and then that was it.
Okay.
So I think that's something that you might want to think about.
Huntley, this can wait until after,
Excuse me just a
You
second.
ma'am.
Someone rang my doorbell.
if there's a new member appointed, this can
Yeah, yeah,
be done after we have a full board again.
I would think we should. I would think we
Yeah.
should.
Yeah, you
That
really
would make sense.
don't want to do it tonight to make a
Mhm.
decision.
Although I keep thinking
No,
of
and I've
Gwen as a money person and a figures
paid all the
person,
bills.
so.
yeah, so I paid all the bills, so you're good for a while.
Okay,
And it's actually kind of automated now, so it shouldn't be a big deal.
great.
Very
And
good.
the CPA is there also to make the transition easy.
Who is the CPA, Joe?
Dave Picaro out of Danvers. I've actually never met him personally, just
Oh,
only through
okay.
emails because of COVID.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, yeah. It makes sense.
So, the transition happened right before COVID, and then boom.
And we have the same
Um,
tenant still on Front Court, is that correct?
Definitely, yep.
And-
And so Michael Kilburn is the other owner of the condo,
Yeah.
the one that's shared in the LLC. I asked him if he would like to join the board, and he says that he is also looking to sell
Oh,
over the
shoot.
near term.
Yeah,
So that's something to think about. But again, I don't know where I think it was not immediate
yeah.
in his mind.
You know, he's been there quite a while, so.
I think almost from the beginning, right?
From the beginning of you or I being on this committee, he has been, yeah. Yeah. That'll make an interesting sale. You find out that the unit of the
Yeah,
only other unit is owned by the Affordable Housing Trust, and it's,
Yeah. So I'm not sure what he's doing.
So we kind of jumped the agenda down to F.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Sorry.
not managing
Don't
this
worry.
too well. We did F before we've done D and E. Should we go back up and then come back to this a little bit so we can finish the other pieces of the meeting? We've got, where are we? The home. Oh,
Yeah,
The
I can
home
bring, I
funds for
just want to bring up the
2022.
home funds.
Yeah.
yeah, the home fund, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Margaret.
Can you see those?
oh, okay, we have a,
Can you see them all right? Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very clear.
okay, good. So just as a quick update, and I think we may have touched on this briefly. So each year, the Home Consortium gets a certain amount of home funds. And there's just a small amount that's allocated for each, for Wenham. And then all of the rest of the funds have to be allocated to projects that apply to them for funding. So they sent us this letter saying these are the recommendations for their funds for this year. It's not really necessary for the trust to say anything about this or to approve it or anything, but they just want to let you know if there was something on here that the trust felt was way out of line, I think you certainly would have an opportunity to talk to them about it. So one of the, I think what's mostly important to Wenham is the Harbor Light Maple Woods project that they had requested 200 from the consortium, and the consortium's given them 145.
Where is that on here? I
Where
don't,
is that? I don't see it.
Can you
It's
see it?
not
I
on
just
here.
highlighted it on the second page.
We can only see the first
You
one.
can only see the
Oh,
first.
all right. You know what? Hold on. You know what happened? My screen stopped sharing. Hold on. Stop share. Okay, let me do it again. I'm going between two screens and I always have a trouble with this. Okay. Okay.
Here it is.
Yep. Can you see the Harbor Light Community Partners Maple?
Oh,
okay,
yes.
now we've got it. Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
got it.
So it's a decent amount. And as you can see, some of them didn't get quite what they had asked for. One of the
Margaret-
projects in Salem didn't get any. Yeah.
Could that 145,000 be part of the 250,000 or just, no?
No,
Okay,
no, I'm pretty sure that Andrew's already accounted for these funds.
okay.
Okay.
I would imagine. You know what,
He didn't
Judy,
mention
though?
it, so.
That's a good question. Let me confirm that.
And I guess my other question on that is, since it's less than what was requested,
Yeah.
is that affecting
That effect, yeah.
his ask, basically?
Yep. I'm gonna check with Andrew and I will let you know that.
Margaret, is there any way that we can communicate our concern about getting 145,000 or anything else on this spreadsheet, or they just give it to us and say this is what it is? And the second part of the question is, how do they make this decision? Or is this something Andrew should be into himself?
So as far as I know, Win, the Home Consortium is a group and they have a board that makes these decisions. If a community in the consortium has a concern, we certainly can write a letter to Kevin Hurley. He's the director of it. He works in Peabody. So I haven't ever done it before, and I don't know that Wenham has ever had any input into this before. We do always have input into the small amount that Wenham allocates, which we've done, and we've allocated that to Harbor Light, and then we allocated it to Habitat one year. So, you know, those small amount of funds go to them, but as far as these big ones, I don't know for sure. But are you concerned and you would like to express some concern about this?
No, because I'm not sure how I would voice it, but how much money do we allocate? What is the balance that we can actually talk about? A small amount of money, isn't it?
Yeah, it's usually like $6,000 maybe at the most. It's been,
When do we get that, or when is that available to us?
that I think was already allocated this past year to Harbor Light. I haven't heard yet when those small amount of funds need to be appropriated. So I'm not sure when, but
Yeah, it would
I
seem
would
that
think-
we could add it to the Harbor Light, Maplewoods project.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, just to have them add it to that. Okay,
is that what would happen? The 145 would, then we would add whatever that amount is, 6,000 to it?
I'm not sure about that either, Win. Let me check. I'll check with
Is the
Kevin
six-
Hurley.
Margaret, is the 6,000 just, what is that?
So each community gets a certain amount of funds
Okay,
based on the size of the community and need in the community. So, but then the home consortium, these are federal funds, these are HUD funds.
got it, got it.
They come to the consortium and they're to be split up among the communities in the consortium.
Got it.
Again, each community gets their small portion, but then the bigger funds all go into a different pot.
And that's fed money.
Yeah, so these are the spending of the larger amounts of money.
Okay, right. But they give a proportion to each community according to the
Yeah.
size.
Yeah,
That's a separate pot.
right, right.
And this has already been done, I think you said, possibly.
It was done. We did it, I think we just did it this past year and decided that this year's funds should go to Maple Woods. And will be asked again next year. So as far as I know, they follow the fiscal year. So they start July 1st. So
So
that,
possibly the
Yeah,
145
and-
already includes that.
I don't think these include
No. No,
small
this is
amount of
separate.
funds, no.
But yeah, remember, Andrew asked that we commit because it was
Yeah.
during the process of trying to ask for in the mini round.
That's right.
To
That's
show
right.
support.
Yep. That's right. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions on the home funds?
I don't think so.
Okay, what, I can't see my agenda here. What do we got next, Margaret?
Oh, All right, let me,
Update on 8 Maplewood Drive, Middlewood Drive, I'm sorry.
Middlewood Drive, that's
Yeah.
it. Okay,
yeah, so Middlewood, there were 2 units at Middlewood. You're all familiar with the Middlewood 40B project.
yep,
So it was a few years ago, one of the owners of one of the affordable units got married and she wanted to move out. So she had to get permission from the monitoring agent, who is Homeworks, I think they're called. That's the monitoring agent for this project. So she did get permission to rent the unit because they couldn't sell them. So no one at Middlewoods could sell any of their units for, I want to say, almost 2 years because of litigation with the developer. So those were put on hold. So none of them were being sold. That litigation has finally been lifted. And there are 2 units, number 3 and number 8, are both now being sold. So I reached out to the Homeworks representative. Her name is Veronica Truel. She sent me the flyer that advertised these 2 units for sale. I think I showed you, probably all, did you see them all?
Yeah, you sent it to us.
So I've reached out to her again and I've asked, have they sold? She said, yes, they found buyers, but that's all the information I've gotten. So the thing with these 2 units is they do have deed restrictions, but the town doesn't have any real responsibility in the sale of these units. If there was no buyer found, the town could step in and purchase them. But there's really nothing else that the town needs, that we don't need to give them permission to sell these units. Like there are some affordable units that the town does have to sign off on, but not the Middlewood ones. So as far as I know, these 2 units have found buyers. And once I get more detail from Veronica, I will let you know for sure. I've asked her what the purchase price was and if there are any other, deed restrictions that we need to be involved in. But so far, I don't think so.
But she's ensuring that they sell to qualified people, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, they handle the lottery, which it's the same process as for any affordable unit.
Okay,
They have to do the marketing
Stay on
and
our
then-
list. They stay on our list.
and they stay on our list, yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
important. Yes.
Yep, they stay on our list.
Thanks,
Very good.
Margaret.
To
Thank
that.
you for the update. Any other comments about that?
Nope.
All right, so
Yeah.
now we're back down to, giving a cake to Joe and sending him on his way and
Or the finger, one
Yeah, yeah.
No, we would never.
Oh,
We can have a
Never.
version of
No.
toast.
No. And then, I don't know, are we gonna be able to determine who will manage the Friend Court? Is that something that someone feels really confident about doing?
Actually, didn't, Margaret suggested that we put that off until we get a full board.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the best idea.
Yeah,
That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
yeah.
And that should be happening in July. So you should have a full board in July. What I
Okay.
would ask is to maybe schedule your next meeting. We're
Okay.
probably going to hear from Andrew sooner than later. And I think you want to hold a meeting as soon as we can to address whatever letters he sends.
Right. So what would work for people in July? I think we should meet, because if he said he was going to get it to us in the next week or so, then we should meet toward the end of July. Or the middle of
Should we
July,
End of June, maybe?
or the end of June. Sure.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, end of June, beginning of July.
Okay, all right.
Like maybe
What-
we should aim for the last week of June.
So let's see.
That's only in a few weeks, yeah.
Right,
That's in a couple of weeks.
right.
Yeah.
Do you, so you don't have to, well, I mean, it's a good idea to set a next scheduled meeting, but you don't have to. You could always schedule a meeting once I get something from Joe.
Okay.
From Joe?
Well,
From
I mean,
Joe?
from
Andrew.
Andrew.
From Andrew?
but
Oh,
don't we
okay.
have to have a certain
Andrew.
time frame for the town to post it and all that?
Yeah, just 48 hours.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was longer than that. Okay.
No, not, that's for a public hearing. I only need 48 hours to put up an agenda.
Okay.
However,
Mm.
I have found with my Zoom meetings that I do for other organizations, that it's really good to pick a date now.
Yes, once
I
everybody
think
walks away,
that's
it's
great
hard to
idea.
get them all
It's hard to
back
get
on
us
the same
back.
page.
So I
Yeah,
think we
okay.
should sort of look at
Yeah.
our calendars and make a decision on
Well,
what
you
would work.
said you
for
were
us.
gonna be away. Are you able to attend remote or?
I will be back on the 29th of June, which is a Wednesday.
The 29th it is.
Oh,
That's fine.
actually, the 29th won't work.
Kidding.
The master plan meeting kickoff is the 29th.
Well, Erica, you'll be at that.
I'll be
We'll be
busy.
at that. And I can't come to a meeting that night either, so we might not have a quorum. Yeah.
What about the
about
30th? Do you want to
30th?
do it that soon, or
30th?
do you want to wait till the next week?
Can't, this week has got tons of stuff in it for me, so I can't.
I just feel like the week after it's
It's
like
the
I'll be
4th of
away.
July, I
It's a vacation
know.
holiday week.
Well,
Seven.
are people away after the 4th, or will they be around?
I'll be
We
gone
could-
that whole week.
Leave on
As
that
long
week.
as we're remote, I think I could do the 30th.
Okay.
That would be really helpful, Judy, if you could do us on the 30th.
Yeah, I'll be in Maine, but if it's remote, I should be okay.
All right. How about you, Win?
I'm a Thursday, the 30th.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I can do that.
okay.
Erica, did you say you could?
I can, yeah. Yeah, I
Well,
mean, would we do like a 6 o'clock again or?
You know, and it would be great because then you'll be able to report to us on the master plan meeting.
Is I have to make sure I take notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be
Okay.
great.
All right, and will we have the new members by then? Will the selectmen have done that by the 30th?
Well,
Margaret,
have to be in by the
They're
21st.
making those votes on June 21st.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh,
you know, I'm not
okay.
sure, Judy, whether they're appointed for after the
July 1st.
year. I think they're appointed for July 1st.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, maybe we could
We got to
do,
make sure we're going to have a quorum if we're going to vote on money for Andrew, though.
Yeah, but there'll still be 4 of us, so
there's
that
still
would be
be 4
enough.
of us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have a select person, perhaps?
Yes,
by then?
yeah, and that's what I think will be important too, to have a select person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we have that person, I think we can vote on the money.
Right.
And structuring and reorganizing, we could.
And we don't know John's schedule, so we
Yeah.
have no idea if he's going to be here then.
Unfortunately, he's a little hit or miss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is a little hit or miss.
He is.
Yeah.
A little hit or miss.
No, we can usually get them on the phone, so
Right.
we'll make an effort.
okay,
That's all we
Okay.
need. A voice is good.
Yeah,
okay. So we'll make the next meeting June 30th at 6 PM.
right.
Very good.
Okay,
And our main concern will
Yes.
be that money approval.
And
yeah,
Huntley,
if
do
it
you
comes
wanna-
in. Mhm.
Do
Sarah?
you want to, Huntley, do you want to just let us know about when you speak to your neighbor in the next couple days? Because if
Yeah.
not, then I'll go to Natalie and get
Right.
her to do it.
Well, literally, the person that came to the door was sweet. It was her son who said my car door was open and could he close it so my battery wouldn't die?
Oh,
He's a
Very
keeper.
sweet. And he said, so critters won't get in your car.
That's a plus.
Yes,
No
and I
critters.
said, tell your mother I'm going to be giving her a call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be talking to her in the next 24 hours.
Okay.
And
And
then
just if
Erica,
you
I'll let you
can't,
know. I'll let you know.
Yeah, just so that we'll go forward.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right. Are there any other matters for discussion before we vote to adjourn? Anything else?
Say thank you, Joe.
thank you, Joe.
No,
Yes,
thank you all.
Joe. Mwah. Thank you.
Well, I have
I
a
hope-
question. Should we be nominating Huntley as chair?
I think we should.
I mean, it's, you can't get paid until you're nominated.
Yeah, I would say Huntley could be chair until after July 1st, when you have your full board, you can make that actual vote. I think
I'll
it's,
be happy to sit in for the
Step in.
next meeting.
I
Okay,
was gonna say, are you willing to take that title?
I probably am not, given that I run an event year round that I administer with 600 people that I'm on chair, and I don't want to be split. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to. I want to do a good job if I were chair. So I
Yeah.
think I have a couple of other things that are rather large on my plate that would diminish my effectiveness. I can do committee work and I can do that sort of thing, but I don't think I could do the chair
Okay.
at this point.
Okay,
Well,
so
if
we're
you'll
gonna
do
have to look,
interim, that would be great.
we're gonna have to look for one of our new people and put them on as chair, which is gonna be kind of hard.
Well,
You're
perhaps we
not,
could.
you're not interested, Judy?
No, because I'm hoping that we'll be gone for the winter.
Well, so this is my suggestion. And I don't know, Joe was talking about a vice chair, but we could do a co-chair. And if it was somebody that was new, we could have someone who has been on the committee for a while
Yeah.
work alongside someone.
Mhm.
sure.
So that, just a thought, so that, and maybe that might work.
Mhm.
So that-
Again, maybe if once Joe sort of writes down what it all entails and what it is, we could revisit the possibilities.
Yeah, I think if we can see clearly job descriptions and how we might
Right.
share,
Yeah.
Right.
and what that would look like, that would be really helpful. And then perhaps there's a couple of us that could
Mhm,
carry parts of it, but not the whole thing.
mhm. And is that okay, Margaret? Like, can we do
Is
it
that
that way?
okay from government point of view?
Yeah, oh, sure. You guys can break it up any way you want. I just
Okay.
wanted to say something. Judy, did you say you're going away for the winter?
I hope so.
Because I think we're gonna be going back to in-person meetings.
Okay, that's what I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if we are going to be able to do hybrid or if the open meeting
Yeah.
is gonna go back to the way it was.
The way it was. Yeah, I have no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Okay,
And I don't have any idea either. We don't have a rental at this
Okay.
point anyway. So
Okay. I don't
it's
blame you.
nothing set in stone.
Okay, good. So we'll cross that bridge if we come to it.
Okay,
Okay, great. Yeah. And as far as how you manage this committee, you can make that decision once you have a full board and then decide, here's the job description, like you say, who wants to do what, and you can handle it that way.
yeah,
Don't have to be too formal about it right now.
okay.
Perfect.
So I think if we
Joe's
can
gone,
consider
whoever
creative
wants
ways
to
to
take it.
share,
Yep.
then there might be more ability to jump on
Mhm.
board.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, great.
All right. So again, thank you, Joe, for just, cheering us on and getting us down the road. So we appreciate it very much.
Think of this while
Wish you
you're
the
sitting on
best.
Singing Beach.
Yep, yep. Oh, man.
Well,
oh,
thank you
man.
all.
Thank you.
It's been great to have you on board, for sure.
Good luck
And
with
good
everything.
luck.
Thanks for your service.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Huntley, does someone want a motion to adjourn if you guys
That's
are
what I
all
was
set?
going to ask. Do we have someone that would like to make a
I will
motion?
motion to adjourn the
Oh.
meeting.
And I
And-
will second it.
Okay. The only thing before we say we're adjourned,
Oh.
are you taking notes, Margaret? Where is our dear
He
Yeah,
doesn't
Bigger.
do us
So-
anymore.
yeah, Catherine probably won't be doing the Affordable Housing Trust anymore
Oh,
for now,
okay.
yeah. She's
Okay.
got some other things. She's got a lot
Mhm.
on her plate right now, so.
Okay, so Margaret, are you doing that for us?
Yeah, I'll do them. I can-
Thank you. That's really appreciate
Thank you.
But
that.
this is being
It won't be as
recorded, so
good, but
You're not trying to do it during the meeting, are you? Because we have a recording, so you can,
oh, yeah, I have
Yeah.
a recording and I always take notes anyway during the
Okay.
meeting.
Okay,
I'll hit
Yeah.
the high points. They won't be as, eloquent as,
well, we appreciate you doing it.
They'll be
Given that you
legal
have
enough.
quite a bit on your plate as well.
right, yes, yeah.
So,
all
All
right.
And we do
right.
miss Catherine, yes.
yes, so we can adjourn now. Thank you,
right.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll see you on the
Thank you.
30th.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.